We're back. I think it's a little better. Let me know because it came on a lot quicker than it did. We're back. I had a little glitch as usual. I don't know what's going on with the internets around here. I need to get on the phone with my internet carrier. It's not, I don't know. I think it's something that is on where it goes to a hotspot, which I don't even know what a hotspot is. I don't know why it's got it right now on my phone. I never added a hotspot. I never need a hotspot. I don't even know why it's there, but it's there. And that's when things have been getting really troublesome. When I started seeing those two little things at the very top, and I have no idea what they are, but I'm going to have to get somebody to explain it to me. You know what I miss more than anything? My relationship with my Apple Care guy. We had such a fulfilling relationship. It was so wonderful. He was so sweet. He never talked down to me. I love that. But it ran out and I couldn't even renew it. The computer, it's a fabulous computer though. Please, if you ever want to spend money on a computer and you have the choice, oh my gosh, get a Mac. Get a Mac. I've had mine like 8 years and it's still good, except the cord that I burned with a candle. That was my fault. Let me know how it sounds. But that's what I miss. Oh my gosh, we had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. He was so sweet, so intelligent. He would talk me through the stupidest questions without condescending answers, without telling me, I already told you, or anything like that. All right, let me know. Is it still choppy? I had a hot spot when I worked from home. And what is a hot spot? How do I take it off? I click it and then it just tells me to find some kind of, I may have even clicked on the wrong internets. You know how 1,000 internets come out from your neighbors? Maybe that's what was going on. I have no idea, but it was so strange. Looks like a few people that weren't here a minute ago joined us. Thank you guys so much. We are embarking on a heart to heart, but we had, of course, a glitch. I opened the doors, I turned off my phone, and I think we're ready. It's when you don't have it's for when you don't have an internet. But I do have an internet. Right, but I do have an internet and it's always on and it's always on my internet. So I know it's to use when you don't have an internet, but I don't know why it started appearing on my menu board here at the top, the little menu ribbon of my Mac. It was never there. It just appeared this year. That's why I'm going to get on the phone. Anyway, welcome everyone to the channel. Welcome back. I had to unlist the other one, so I hope it doesn't come out. Sometimes when I upload a video, I see that I unlisted and I'm still getting views, like 10 more. I don't know how that happens. Like last time I uploaded a video and I hadn't edited. It was an edited version, but not the completely edited version. So you may have seen a lot of glitches in that one. A lot of and mindless chatter. And then I quickly deleted it, but before I knew it, it had like 40 views. And then I deleted it, not deleted, but unlisted. And I still got about another 10 views. I don't know how that happened. So I hope you guys didn't get lost over there in that abyss. Welcome, Gina, Lynn, Gail, Lois, Liz, Perla. How are you? Everyone back. I hope you made it back. How is the stream now? Is it a little bit better? Does it sound better? Because they were telling me it was frozen, that the picture was frozen and the voice was choppy. So let me know. Okay, quick catch up. Mental health. We were going to talk about mental health because I consider myself definitely deep in the field and as a special education teacher, because especially in my classroom, I'm an SNL classroom, behavioral classroom. So I have the gamut from everyone from genetic diseases to anger management issues, things like that. And I also worked in a mental health clinic where we had a lot of, there comes the cat. We had a lot, but I wanted to leave the door open. We had a lot of basically the clinic we worked in, the children could not function in a regular school. So to say that we had behavior issues, of course we had autism and everything else, but we had the spectrum from autism to schizophrenia. All right. So, all right. Let me just read Becky's question real quick. how do you serve kids, or how do your severe kids handle fire drills? Oh, it was a pain. I'm telling you. That's why I started calling this one a fire drill, because I felt like I had to do it. And I hate when that we have the fire drills in our classroom in our school, but they usually let me know in an email. Today, two people let me know. The custodian let me know, and my principal let me know. And basically, it's very hard. I'm very upset actually, because I am in the front, pretty much in the front first floor, but I have a kid in a wheelchair, and I guess we don't need a ramp to exit that front door, but I feel like we need doors that slide, that you open up, with a little knob or a button or something. We don't have that. Somebody had to hold the door open for the child in the wheelchair to get out. And boy, if there was a real fire, that would be very, very dangerous. I don't know if I'm sure we're following all the guidelines and whatnot. And I'm wondering, how do the kids upstairs, though? Because we have at least four of the kids in the general education that are in wheelchairs as well. But I guess they have something set out, because you're not supposed to get on the elevator. The elevator either. You're supposed to avoid the elevator in a fire. Anyway, back to mental health. We were going to talk about mental health. I'm going to entitle this a little bit differently. At first, I was going to talk a little bit about a friend, defriend, unfriend, and friend, because kind of like a little parody on Facebook, because people kind of unfriend you, they friend you, they're your friend, and they're not. But I also had on the back of my mind a really serious thing I read about on the internet yesterday, and it was about suicide. And it's not just yesterday, but like all week I've been like kind of not inundated, but exposed to different stories and theories about, and not theories, but real life happenings. Okay. So, like I said, I have never been personally affected by that. So, if anyone has, I apologize if any of this may bring up an emotional scar or anything like that. I don't want to do that. But I just constantly want to learn about the way things are, the way we really never learn about mental health. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different personality, a different experience in life, different support groups. I did mention that my neighbor, I didn't even know them personally, but we have always had sort of a neighborhood, good neighbor policy here, where I was actually part of that group when my kids were younger. And so we took potluck dinners for a week over there. We took turns, and it was a young high school kid who took his life over supposedly being jilted by a girlfriend. But then I ran into, I think Winona Judd has been speaking out a lot about her mother who shot herself. And that always leaves one thinking, someone so famous, someone so gifted, so blessed, so privileged in many ways, privileged monetarily, privileged by so many things. Of course, she did have just a kind of a middle class life to begin with, Naomi Judd. But she was saying, her daughter was saying that she was learning a lot more about suicide too, and that how it came so suddenly to her because she had just spoken to her. She was really up and really happy, and then all of a sudden this happens and leaves everyone just in devastation, of course, but with more questions. What could we have done? What didn't we see? That kind of thing. And I think I want to talk about a little bit of that, of course, and how, when do we, because it can be such a guilt for people just to survive, as just to be a survivor. There's always this unfounded guilt, and maybe there is some real guilt, I don't know, but you really can't ever know what someone is going through that takes them to that ultimate turn. So she was saying, the Judd daughter that survives, that that's what's playing over and over in her head. What she's now learning even more about the disease, and it is indeed a disease. I believe in many cases depression and of course we don't know that everyone who commits suicide. This is the thing. We don't know if everyone who has committed suicide has really suffered from depression. We do know about Kate Spade as well. They said she had been struggling with it for a long, long time. But I recently picked up an article in the internet that was talking about the famous television chef, Anthony Bourdain. And I thought that was just such a tragic thing. I always thought he was just so good and, an attractive man and so forth, and just had like the dream job. I mean, who wouldn't want to travel the world and eat these exotic foods and then get paid a lot of money to do it, right? Well, there's a book out now. There's going to be a book released that not only talks about his suicide, his last days. Well, it turns out the man was leading kind of a double life, according to this book, and they do have a lot of credible sources, family and everything. Still married, but he'd been having this affair with this woman, Italian actress, basically living with her and leaving his other family. He had an 11-year-old daughter to the side while he carried on this, not only, I guess you could call it illicit, whatever. Nowadays you can't say anything because everyone thinks everything is okay and nothing is wrong and whatnot. But not only was he having this affair with her, and who knows if there was drugs involved or not. I'm sure there was drinking and that kind of thing, because he's kind of known for drinking and smoking on his show. And, he had this cool persona, so called. But it turns out that this lady, I believe her name is Argento. Her last name is Argento, so you need only Google Argento and Bourdain. She was kind of at the forefront of the Me Too movement. So this is like two giant concepts, running together at once. She accused the famous director, the Hollywood director Weinstein, of raping her. She was an actress and as well, of raping her, and she got on that whole Me Too thing and sued him and whatnot. And I don't know if she won that case or what. I know he's rotting in jail right now, as he well should if he's guilty of all those charges. But then it turns out, are y'all still there? The thing is not moving. The chat is not moving. Then it turns out that she is now not the victim, but the perpetrator, because a young man, a young man that's, I guess she's in her 40s or so. So this young man was 17 when she basically raped him. And some people may think that that is not possible, but it's possible. She raped him. This boy of 17. This boy was an actor, and I don't recall his name as well. And he'd been acting since he was a child, like 5 or 6 or so. And he actually was in a movie role with this woman when he was 6 or 5. So they had sort of a platonic relationship in the beginning. I mean, not platonic. I shouldn't say that. Surrogate parental type of relationship. They knew each other and whatnot, and they had worked together in these. To me, they're obscure films. I don't know them. They're probably kind of indie films and whatnot. So it turns out off over, I don't know, $500,000 or something for the judgment. I don't know if it was a judgment or a, what do you call it when you settlement or something. So all of this was happening while he's in his last days of taking his life. And they even have the last text that we're going through and whatnot. And he's saying to her pretty much, I can't believe the man I've become. And so that got me to thinking, how much of this is actually from long-term depression? Do we really know that he suffered from long-term depression? Or was it just, that like he even told his wife, his wife was still his confidant and best friend, and telling her in text, I'm desperately in love with this woman, and or just this downfall of humanity. I mean, honestly, because this is what the struggle is for all of us. This is the ego and the id, is it not? It's bad, it's bad, but you do it anyway because it's so good. Thank you, Lynn, for telling me. So that's the thing. And when you're involved with these people, let's say this is not Hollywood. Let's say this is not Weinstein and Bourdain and his lover for 20 years and the rape victim. They're supposedly both rape victims. She was raped by Weinstein, she says. Yet this 17-year-old boy accused her and she settled with him over it. Where does that leave the rest of us? The rest of those that are involved, like that woman, that his wife, the survivor, and he has an 11-year-old daughter that he hasn't seen in I don't know how many years. He basically, chalked her, erased her out of his life because he was obsessed with this Italian beautiful woman, in his eyes, beautiful woman. Um, and then he got to the point where she had left him. She was starting to put her attention elsewhere to someone else. And I think some of the last texts were, don't bust my balls or something, heard it. She texted him that. So basically, and then he said, okay. And then the next day they found him gone. My point is, I think we're always so quick to say, oh, it's just mental illness. You can't, they of course they need help, and what can we do? And, more and more health clinics and all of that is so important. Yes, it is. But sometimes it's just someone, I feel, this is my opinion. I know I'm going to get some comments, and please do. I love comments. Um, but I have to think it, in my head, sometimes it's just because you come to the realization, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, that's the case with this Anthony Bourdain, which, believe me, I was shocked and hurt when I heard it. And like you hear about anybody, all the other ones. And how many stories are there other than just this disease that takes over your brain, and you can't function, you can't, and I know that's real, believe me, I know that's real, and you can't get up in the morning. I've worked with people who literally would be on the phone telling me, I'm sorry, I can't come, and I struggle to understand that. I do, but I know it's true. But then again, I know there's a point in life where right from wrong. You know right from wrong. You no longer can just go for if it feels good, do it mentality. What do you guys think? I know y'all are listening, but please give me your opinion as well. And do you have any questions? And I laugh only to keep from crying. I definitely laugh only to keep from crying because these stories are tragic. They really, really are. More so for not, he's no longer in his pain, but his daughter is, his wife, his real wife, and who knows what the other woman is feeling, but she obviously didn't have feelings for him anymore. And in the end, we need to think about the women never lie and all of that. Not that I don't want to discount the Me Too movement. It was a very valid, very, very valid movement. And it's true that many women are taken advantage of when they are in positions of deferration to an authority. When they have to defer to someone that they're working for and so forth. We've talked about that before. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying that's not there. What I'm saying is that women do lie. Women do cheat. Women are bad. Men are bad. We all are. We can all sin. We all do. We are sinners. Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Christina, that's very insightful. It breeds more misery. You're absolutely right. And that leads me to my other point. The survivors, the relatives of not just Bourdain, but any person who has to, and doesn't have to, but chooses to support? When do you, you know, stop supporting? Do you stop supporting? When do you just leave it to God, get all the help you can get for them? But eventually, if they don't want to turn, they're not going to turn, just like he didn't want to turn for many, many years. He was living with another woman while still married. She took top drawer in his life. And it was finally, I think, the whole theme of the book, I haven't even read it yet, but from what I've seen and why some of the family is against publishing it, and it's starting to sue, and they're going through with it because they have evidence to back it up, is that he got to a point where he could not either not live without her. I think it was more than that. I think he couldn't live with himself. I think he couldn't live with himself. Debauchery, whatever it is. What is it? Debauchery. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Miss Anna. I always say Anna. But how are you, Miss Anna? I'm glad you're here. But because we're surrounded by people like that too. We're surrounded by people that, oh, I'm depressed. I can't come to work. I can't do this. I can't do that. I know it's real, but we're real too, and our feelings are real too. And at what point do you give up your life for someone else's betterment? At what point do you give it up? And do you or don't you? It is so sad to read that. I was just in shock. I went down that rabbit hole. I really did. I was in shock because I just thought it was this mysterious disease, and it's mysterious to me because the brain is a mystery. The brain is a mystery. The chemicals that help elevate it, the chemicals that worsen it, we're all just guinea pigs in this life, honestly. Even the people over it, that's what all philosophers say about medicine as well, because medicine works on some and not on others. And I'm talking physical maladies as well, not just in the depression realm. It's real. People that don't have it understand. People that don't have it don't understand. I'm not saying it's not real. I know it's real. I know it's real. But what I'm saying is it's in so many depths, and we seem to want to just box it, is what I'm saying. It's like we seem to just want to box it like it's just this way. And it's just this way. It's either the extreme suicide, or it's the one that just that and I don't even want to say just, but because I had a neighbor too who, she went to a really, really bad spell, and she would come and tell me, I haven't gotten out of my room, and I can't do this and I can't do that. And I see her now, and she's very, very well. I can see that she's well. I can see it on her face. I can see it in her family, but the family suffered too. And like they said a minute ago, blessings to the survivors, because they're definitely, at the aftermath. And at what point do you not give it up, not give up the fight? I'm not really saying that, but where you don't sacrifice everything for the well-being of someone else, because you have a life too. Yes, there was an age difference. There was about a 20-year age difference. Yes, he was 61. He was 61. Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, yeah, and you're also sisters, and your mother, and that's blood. And I know a husband or a boyfriend can be very close, but I think there's a difference. Maybe you don't. I think there's a difference. I'm not saying, I'm thinking of his wife, they literally called him his confidant. So she was no longer his wife. She was his confidant. He was texting her before he left the world. Oh, absolutely, Lois. You're very blessed. You're very blessed, and I'll continue. I will definitely keep you in my prayers that depression is always at bay in your house, always at bay, because it is a serious, serious, serious illness. I know that. And the one about knowing Naomi Judd as well, I'm baffled by it. I'm baffled because her daughter is baffled. And her daughter and her were like, you can't even imagine that relationship. And for her not to know about the disease, that she's now learning about the disease, that's my whole point, is that there's just so many fragments of it. And but there's also times where, in some instances, and maybe they call it depression, and maybe and there can be comorbidities, as you know, in mental illness and mental issues. But at what point is it, all of the OCD or the other types of things that can be wrong, and then the depression as well. But your crazy behavior, sometimes it's you're involved with crazy behavior. Like, I'm sure he had crazy behavior. I mean, come on, he did. Maybe he was, I don't know. We don't even know if he was depressed. I'm just saying he committed suicide. But the first thing I thought about when he committed suicide was that he was depressed. Now, I don't know. That's my question. And I'm not, that's my question. Because a lot of times I think depression is diagnosed at a young age to some people. Even the physicians will tell you. They don't want to diagnose people with depression when they're teenagers, when they're young adults. What do they call it now? What, bipolar 1, bipolar 2? They even have to do that. Wise specify. We get a lot of those because they don't want to diagnose things. So that's just where I'm at there. I've often suffered in silence with this evil. It's so horrible to live with. Oh, Miss Liz. Self-care and isolation. That's the worst part. Thinking that you're burdening someone when I don't believe you are. That's not what I was trying to say earlier. I was trying to say that other erratic behaviors, okay? Anger, self-medication, which obviously he was doing a lot of, that kind of thing, and abuse, and to the point where this wife, like I said, was not even his wife anymore. At what point should she have maybe said, you know what? I want to start a life of my own. I don't just want to be your confidant. In a way, I feel like that's destruction. That's sacrificing your life for someone else. And I just feel that's tragic. Maybe it works for some, maybe it's good for some, maybe the self-sacrifice makes you feel better because you want to be, not that you're better than, that you want to think that you're better than someone, but that you think that your life is not worthy enough to what do you call it, to appreciate. The first thing one thinks of is depression with someone commit suicide. Exactly. And that's where I'm thinking, that's where I was thinking, was it not depression? I'm glad you got what I was saying, Miss Miller. Maybe it was. I'm just saying there's so much to this backstory now. I mean, so much. I hadn't heard about this lady raping this 17-year-old boy who sued her, and Anthony Bourdain just paid off $380,000, or some over almost $500,000 there, for not hush money but settlement money. while she was accusing Harvey Weinstein, she was on the Harvey Weinstein bandwagon of getting raped as an adult. As an adult, not that it's better, but I'm just saying there's a difference. Uh, and there's a big difference also with the boy, because that's a whole different dynamic that goes into a lot of pedophilia and truly the Me Too movement. And I think there is a Men Too movement, because there is instances of that, especially in instances of employment hierarchy and things like that, and in Hollywood. There's a lot of women that control the purse strings in Hollywood too, not just men. Mm. So yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Miss Miller. That is it always depression when someone commits suicide, or I don't know. It's rampant. I feel useless after my amputation. I think I'm a burden. Aw, you are not useless. Don't say that, Miss Liz. Don't say that. We love you here on YouTube. Carlos adores you. If he didn't, he would not be with you with all the wonderful patience he shows you. Oh my gosh, I can just hear it in his voice every time he speaks to you, every time he shows you how to hold something and measure it correctly and doing things like that. No one who doesn't love someone would have the patience to do that. You're very blessed. You're very, very blessed to have him by your side. And I'm going to pray that you don't feel that way, because that is not the way to be. No, 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 no. Not at all. You're, do you know how many women wished they had someone who supported them like that? I think that's just so, so amazing. And he does it in such a gentle way. I never hear him, never, and I speak Spanish, so I hear every word. He is nothing but respectful to you, and you are respectful to him too, and it's a two-way street. I love that. I think you have a great relationship, and don't feel that way. I mean, from here, from my perspective of this little screen, and the way you've treated me, and the relationship that you and I have, and the rapport that we have and that you have with him, and it's a gift. It is a true gift. Yes, absolutely, Liz. And I mean, if anything, just learn from always putting yourself first. Again, I think a lot of this comes from, you have to do what you have to do, and you put yourself on the back burner. And I don't want you to do that. You should definitely always stay on top of things, go to the doctor, get that done. Um, don't don't leave your health behind, because that's all we have. That's all we have. And I wasn't trying to say that depression isn't real, or that we shouldn't care about people or give up on them, and like, oh, he's just gonna, and like quitting smoking or something. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that there comes a time where, and what of that person? What of that person? There comes a time when I forgot what I was going to say, because there was a troll. There comes a time when you might be looked upon as selfish if you don't sacrifice everything for your loved one. That's what I'm saying. Because you can be abused in a relationship with someone who has, okay, let's put depression aside. Let's do uh, bipolar, which is depression and manic, both. Okay. But that's not negating the depression. The depression can be really deep, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. What they meant by that question. So that's why I locked them. Let me know if you understood that question from that troll we got. I call it a troll. My ex-husband committed suicide. He was an ex-police officer, and I never even imagined that he could possibly or even think that he could do such a thing. I'm so sorry, Miss Miller. I am so, so sorry. I can't even imagine the questions and the pain that you live through every day. I cannot even imagine that. And it seems like every one of those suicides that we hear about, the people are left wondering. The people, the survivors, the friends are left wondering why. What what could possibly have done it? All mental health. I worked with elderly for 15 years with all mental health disorders and all arrays of dementia. Yes, yes. You think it's more on us than anyone? What do you mean by us? On women to deal with it, or I'm not sure what you mean, Miss Zombie, but I'm so sorry, Miss Miller. I can't even imagine. We'll never know. Exactly. We'll never know. We will never ever know. That is the truth. And the stories just the, the stories that you hear of people that knew people, they're just they just leave you like, oh my goodness. My sister had a best friend. She had 4 or 5 small children, and she ended her life. She was young. She was, I think, not even 40. She was mid 30s, early 30s. She had about 4 children and left the kids to be raised by her sister. And again, with inkling, no inkling. That's what's so horrendous. And that's what hit me like a brick with this story about Anthony Bourdain, because I thought it was going to be, such a depression like Kate Spade, or like you hear that the comedian, lots of comedians that have committed suicide. But it seems like there was a backstory. And did the backstory lead to the suicide? Did the depression lead to the backstory? I don't understand. But I guess, like you say, we never will. We would have to reach out and try to help. But if you can't handle it, get out mindset. Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably right. If you can't handle it, get out. Many people can't handle a sick child. And I'm not even talking a like seriously ill child. There's many people who cannot stand to see someone in the hospital or anything. I mean, little things. Honestly, there's some weak souls out there. I know that. Robin Williams, yes. Yes. But I think we had heard of his depression. I'm in healthcare. He's seen a lot of pain. Sometimes an illness is just too much to really live with. But there's always bad backstories and future stories. We fear, yeah, the future stories for sure. And the reason I was talking too about the families and different ways that things are handled. I had a child. He's still my student, but he was taken away in handcuffs out of my classroom in handcuffs last week. And it was the school police, so he wasn't arrested or anything. But I stepped out of the room for a second to speak to his mother because things were escalating, and I knew things were going to escalate to the point of elopement because it had been happening. And so I just wanted to let them know. And the dean was in there with him, and I don't know. I feel like I feel bad. I feel awful that I left the room for 2 minutes to take a call from his mother because my classroom phone was not functioning, and lots of things in that room are not functioning. I'm very upset about it. I feel like I could have de-escalated it. I feel like I would not have let it get to the point of him having to be handcuffed. And his whole issue was evident from day one, is that his mother is not in his life. And he is 13 years old. And every time we write, and he's fairly intelligent young man, he's behind a couple of grade levels, not many. He's an 8th grader. He's like really more functions like more in sixth grade math, and he's catching up. But all of this is the dynamic of his family. And all he writes about because we do a daily journal, and it doesn't matter what the subject matter is, most of the time he's going to mention his mother. His mother is here, she exists, but she's not in his life. She's not his caretaker. So there's a pain, there's an anger there. There's things that I'm poring over in books. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle it? It's the next time he gets to the point where he's unruly and whatnot, because I don't want that hurt me so much to see that happen. Uh, Not only because you just don't want to see a child. He's a child in handcuffs. You don't want to see that. The other kids didn't have to see it. I'm like, and this is a new dean, so you know, and he's not the one who did it, but he did say he called the campus police, and that's what happened. And so I'm constantly thinking over how can I help this young man? How can I keep him from becoming a statistic? Not so much for suicide, but it's possible. But in crime and turning to acceptance somewhere negative because he's not getting acceptance from his own family. He's getting what he needs. He's being raised by a relative, and his father is in the picture. That's good, but living with him. And I talked to a couple of people that are in my department, and we were just mulling over the fact that this kid needs more instead of less, instead of taking things away, like the usual method of reinforcing and mental, prompting and so forth to get them to be compliant in the classroom. This kid needs so much more. And he does seek it from his teachers. He does. But I don't know. These things come through my mind because I know I can't do everything for everyone, but that is how a school handles kids. I don't think he's in the right placement. No, I don't. Well, I am a behavior class as well, but I should not be, all in one. Shouldn't be like one size fits all in here, because I've got other little sixth graders who are pretty much still, fourth graders in their emotional stability and everything. So, and for them to it just should never have escalated. Whether even if I was in a general education classroom with GT kids, that should not have happened in a classroom. That behavior was not criminal behavior. The behavior was not criminal behavior. If he wanted to leave, which is what he wanted to do, they should have just let him walk out, and we could have then handled it with, emergency personnel. But, it just goes to show you how things happen. Things happen, and they start young. And I'm really working overtime to try to try to remedy the situation, try to keep it from ever happening again. Of course, the children were traumatized, and we spoke to them. We all spoke to them, and they were traumatized in so many ways. Not only by the incident, because he did throw things around, and that's when they had to handcuff him. Supposedly, I wasn't there. Again, I just came back to the disaster. In 2 minutes, the room was a disaster. But they witnessed all that, and then they witnessed their friend. We're a family in there. There's only 13 of us, 12, 12, 12 of us right now. Yeah, and so it's like watching their big brother being taken. It's just not right. It's just not right. So oh my gosh. And he's honestly, and teachers shouldn't say that, but he's honestly one of my favorite kids because of so many things. One is I know he's needy for his mother, and I know he's in a situation in an inner city school where he can become a statistic, but he can also become so much more. And in so many ways he's gifted. He's an absolutely naturally born gifted talent in so many ways. And I just hope this This does, you would not believe it. You would not believe it. And we have to document that. But apparently, the antecedent, as they call it in the field, was that his aunt, who takes care of him, it's his custodial parent, um, has to change clothes because his pants had a stain on them, or they something was wrong with his slacks, and there were some cute jeans he had on. Um, and he was angry since he walked in the door, and then it escalated from there. I had a couple of kids throw things around and put the other kids in danger. I never saw those kids again. Oh, really? Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that too, because like they were saying, in an ideal world, we'd have only behavior, we'd have only, children in a certain need of this and the other, and one-on-one and three paras and so forth, and we don't have that. We have what we have, and we do what we can do. Luckily, I was blessed this year with an amazing paraprofessional who relates to the children very well, who's been who's been in the business for 8 years, and she has this innate quality about her. She's the kind of person that looks like she's worked there 20 years already. It's incredible. So I'm definitely blessed that way. And I don't even know. Like I said, I so regret not being in that room. I know her and I could have stopped it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And today I was troubled by something he journaled as well, but we won't get into that. I just said, remember, whatever you journal, if it's illegal, I will have to report it, or if it's dangerous. And, but I keep him really close as far as making sure he's always busy, making sure he's always winning in my room. I don't want him to be a loser in my room. And he could be a winner in other places too, if we could get that control, that behavior under control. He is on medication, but I believe he was off of medication. And there's been other incidences and he actually hit one of the kids, hit him on the head or something. I mean, not hard, but he hit somebody with a folder or something, and that he was reprimanded, and that's when it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. I try, and many times I get very frustrated because, again, I'm like, I was getting so far with this kid. I was getting him. I was going to get him on the football team. Everybody wanted to hit all the coaches want him, and he doesn't even play for any of them. They've just seen him when we go out and we let them throw the ball around, and we hang out in the gym, because they don't even have a adaptive PE yet, and they have come to me and said, please let him get on my team. Please tell his mom I'll pay for the applications. I'll pay for this to for the physicals, because he's a natural born athlete. There's not a ball he can't do magic with. And yet there's that problem that he has to get under control, or he won't stay there very long. He won't be on any team for very long once, if he decides to hit somebody. Oh, you're true. You're very, I wouldn't say it's a barrel of monkeys at all, but it's definitely, I mean, we do what we can do. We do it as best as we can do it. And I think there's a lot of people in public school that are there because they want to be there. I really, really do. Because the pay is not the best at all. And they could be doing other things, or not do anything at all and just retire. Lots of people don't even want to work these days. You know that? I know a lot of people who don't want to work. They just don't. And, but even professionals make mistakes, for sure. I think there was concern about the safety of the other children when things started flying. Again, I wasn't there, was not there, but I just came back to, a thrown desk here and there. And so I think that that's what happened. I do, and the officer is wonderful. He really is. He may have, yeah, but I don't think he had a choice, honestly. But I don't know. I think once it's getting to that point, there is no choice. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We've been on almost an hour. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I know there was just a few people here, and some people don't like to talk about serious things, and that's okay too. I like to talk about frivolity too, and bling, and whatever, thrift stores and fun, because it's my escapism. It really is. It's always been a place where I can just go and not think about anything. Just kind of like a craft. If you guys knit or do anything like that, it's such a mind saver because you just kind of think about nothing else, because the problem's always going to be there when this kid leaves, and hopefully we'll leave with a much better note, and um, find a good place for him to go to high school. There's going to be another one. There was a few that are in general ed. They don't even all have to be in special education. There was quite a few that were getting in trouble today, and doing, whatever they're not supposed to be doing. So it's just what we live with. But we know it is the future. So we do what we can. We do what we can with what we have. And many do go above and beyond. They really, really do. And yeah, public school is free. It is free, and therefore there's going to be lots of flaws. But they do a lot as well. I'm very proud of my school. I really am. Every child has the opportunity to grow there. They really, really do. But they can't. Teachers can't do it alone. And unfortunately, in today's world, there's a lot of dropout parents. I can't tell you of how many children are not even being raised by their parents. They're being raised by grandparents. I can't tell you how many children I know are fetal alcohol syndrome and other issues that have brought on their disabilities. Many, many, many. So it's a societal, well, issue as well. Everyone makes mistakes, but the children sometimes pay for your mistakes, for sure. Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I hope I didn't um, get anybody upset or anything like that. This is just my opinions, my heartfelt talk of things that I run into, that I think about, because I only know what I know. I only know what I know, and I only think what I think. And you can school me, please do so in the comments. Um, but a lot of times, a lot of you have, many viewers have misunderstood what I'm saying. Like the last heart to heart that I had, I wanted to clarify that. When I called it the drunk girl, a lot of people literally thought I was talking about someone who gets drunk. I was using it as a metaphor. I was using it as a metaphor, as a brawler, a barfly type of person that hangs around, picks fights, that kind of thing, flirts with your husband, and, whatever. That's what I was talking about. And then that's what the whole show was last time I had a heart to heart. So I'm hoping I made myself clear today, and that I conveyed what I wanted to convey. And if I was murky, it's because I am murky. I am thinking murkily right now about these things that I am reading, and feeling and dealing with. And I want to deal with this way with this child. I want to do it this way. These experts say you should do it this way, but I've seen it done this way, and it works better this way. And in the end, we show up, and we're there. And I don't just, go warm the chair. That's not me. I love this position. I really do. As you know, this is my second year here in this kind of classroom. I used to be a resource teacher, where I kind of had it a little bit more cushy, but I wouldn't give it up for anything. The day is full, absolutely full, with one more thing to do. And boy, what more could I ask for in my 60s than to feel productive, feel like I'm doing something to help someone, help families, make their lives a little easier in some way, maybe save a kid from not even pursuing his education. I just want him to graduate high school, and maybe go on to college if that's what is in him. That's what I really want. Or the children that are severe, but I can make their life better in some way, enlighten their day, enrich their day, and help their children in some way. Um, Teach them how to communicate with a fantastic device that all they have to do is look at it, and they can tell you they're hungry. Or it's an amazing, miraculous job. It really is, but it does have its frustrating moments. It does have moments where you go home and you're like crying, or you want to cry, but you really don't want to cry because you're like, wait a minute, you did your best, and you just go tomorrow, you put on the coat again and you try again. That's what you do, right? And abuse. So have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go wash off. I've become allergic to makeup. I cannot believe it. I don't wear that much makeup to work because nobody sees me. And but I did start wearing red lipstick as soon as they let us take off the mask. I did miss that. But I do put my eye makeup when I do a video. And I have found that, and it's not, any kind of inexpensive, cheap makeup, which I'm not saying anything wrong with cheap makeup, but my eyes literally start burning after an hour or two. So I'm going to go wash off my face, get to bed. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, share the videos, share the channel. Um, Come back for another one soon. Consider supporting the channel with joining. Membership is there. Thank you all who have become members. Emily, Lois, and I think Carrie was in the other. I hope she made it back to this one. Miss Carrie, because we had to restart, all right? But I love you guys, and I will see you soon. I hope everyone is doing well with the hurricane, all right? Bless everyone and pray for everyone's safety under this horrible storms that are upon us these days.